Okay, let's divide these mixed number fractions step by step. So here we have 2 and 1/5, and we want to divide it by 3 and 2/3. And I'm using this term mixed numbers, okay? So that's a very precise term, is a term when I'm talking about fractions, mixed number fractions. So let's just do some basic terminology here real quick, and then obviously I'm going to quickly review how we divide fractions in general, and then we're going to tackle those problems. So when you have a fraction like, let's say, 2/7, okay, this is a proper fraction. All right, let's put this down here, proper. Now, why is it a proper fraction? Well, it's a proper fraction because the denominator is bigger than the numerator. So let's just quickly review this basic concept. So here we have 2 over 7. The top number in a fraction is called the numerator. I'm not going to spell that out because I very well could misspell it. Nah, maybe I could spell it right. I'm very good at math, but my spelling skills are not that great. All right, so we have 2 over 7. So the bottom number in a fraction is called the denominator. So we have the numerator and denominator. That's what makes up a fraction. Okay, so let's go back to here. A proper fraction is where the denominator, that bottom number, is bigger than that top number. Okay, the denominator is bigger than the numerator. Now, we also have another type of fraction we call improper fraction. And can you guess what that is? Well, if you said the top number is bigger than the bottom number, okay, so like 7 over 2, you would be correct. All right, this is where the numerator is larger than the denominator. Okay, but we have one single fraction. This is an improper fraction. So you need to know these terms, be familiar with these terms. So we have proper and improper, and then we have mixed number fractions. Now, what are these guys? Well, these are examples of mixed number fractions where you have like a whole number with a little fraction off to the side. But the key to doing this problem is going to be twofold. One, we're going to have to rewrite mixed number fractions as improper fractions. That's the first thing. So we have to go from mixed number fractions to improper fractions. So that's not that difficult. Now I'm going to show you this here in a second. And then the second thing is we just need to know how to divide fractions. What's the steps to divide fractions? So we're going to tackle this problem in just one second. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over several years, I've constructed what I like to believe is one of the best online math help programs there is. Of course, I'll let you be the judge of that. If you are interested, you can check out my math help program. I followed the link in the description of this video. But basically, I have 100 plus different math courses. Have all the main courses in middle school and high school. So that would include pre-algebra, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. I'm going to be launching pre-calculus here shortly, but I have a lot of test preparation specialty courses as well. So if you're studying for the GED, SAT, ACT, ALEX exam, CLEP exam, a teacher certification, nursing entrance, ASVAB, there's a ton of reasons why people are studying math outside of an actual math course. So you don't have to be taking a math course to be, having to review and learn middle and high school mathematics. So if you are taking one of these exams or whatever your exam is, just go to my site, look at my course catalog. It's pretty big. If I don't have what you are studying for, just drop me a line and I'll help you out the best I can. I also do a lot of work with independent learners like homeschoolers. I have a great homeschool learning system. So if you are homeschooling, definitely want to check out my homeschool program. And then obviously I help those of you who are just struggling in mathematics. Now, if you really, really want to do well at math, and I assume that you do by virtue of you watching this video, the key is taking great math notes. So over decades of teaching math, one thing is apparent to me. Those students who take excellent, I'm talking about great math notes, almost always do well. And the reverse is true. Those students who just like to, do their homework for other classes, look at their cell phone, or maybe talk to their best friends in class like I did, except for the cell phone part. Back in the 80s, we didn't really have phones that we could put in our pocket. The cell phones back in those days were like probably 3 feet tall. They were huge, and they cost like $5,000. So none of my friends had those. I certainly didn't. But anyways, my point is this. There's a lot of distractions going on, and it's up to you to remain focused. And the only way to do that is to be engaged in an activity that's going to keep you focused, and that's note taking. So the better your notes are, that's an indicator that the more focused you were. Okay, this is the key. Okay, if you're wondering why you're not doing well in math, you look at your notes. Okay, so start improving there. Most of you can stand improvement in your note taking, but in the meantime, you need something to study from. So I offer detailed comprehensive math notes to include pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, and trigonometry. You find links to those notes in the description of this video. Okay, so let's get to this problem, and let's talk about the two skills again that we need to know. So the first is we need to know how to go from a mixed number fraction to an improper fraction. And then the second one is just how do we do division of fractions. And so let's quickly review this, and then we'll tackle this problem. So let's take the fraction 4 1/2. So this is a mixed number fraction, and we need to convert it into an improper fraction. So actually, I'm going to write it a little bit bigger. 4 1/2, just like this. So all of you out there have these skills, all right? You've learned this back somewhere along the line. If you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you've already learned this. Maybe some of you are learning this for the first time, but this is not difficult. So here's this procedure where we have this little fraction here. We take the denominator of that little fraction and we multiply it by the big number. Okay, just like this, the whole number in front of that fraction. So it's just 2 times 4. Okay, this is the way you would do it for any problem. By the way, if there's a sign over here like a negative, okay, do that at the last. Do this whole thing and then do your negative last if that's the case. So let's go ahead and do this now. So it's going to be 2 times 4. That's 8. All right, so in your brain you're thinking 8. Right, so 2 times 4. And then you're going to add this number right here. So we're going to add 1. All right, so let's just kind of do that. That's going to be my numerator. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I put my 9 right there, okay? So that, so far, is my numerator of my improper fraction. So what's the denominator? It's just 2 right here. That's very easy. That's the 2. So that's it, okay? So 4 1/2 is the same thing as 9/2. Now, if you want to be convinced of that, you can take 9 and divide by 2. So let's just do that real quick. 2 divided by 9. I'll do it down here. And hopefully you're up to speed on your division. So 2 goes into 9 how many times? 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. So I subtract, I got 1. 2 cannot go into 1, so I have remainder equal 1. Or we could just write that as 1 over this 2 right there. So that's 4 1/2. Okay? All right, so just to kind of convince you that 4 1/2 is in fact the same as the improper fraction 9/2. So let's just do this one more time. We use another example, see if you got this down. So let's say 5 1/3. Go ahead and write that as an improper fraction. Okay, so it's going to be 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, so 15 plus 1 is 16, and then this right here will be my denominator, 16/3. So mixed number, improper fraction, they are equivalent, but we need to use improper fractions. More often than not, when you're dealing with mixed number fractions, you're going to want to convert them to improper fractions. They're equivalent, but this here gives us one fraction with one single numerator and denominator. Okay, we don't have it's not mixed in with a whole number in a little fraction. Okay, so that's the first skill we need to know. The second skill is how do we divide fractions. So let's just quickly practice that. So let's say we have 2/3 divided by 1/5. Okay, so if you think you know how to divide fractions, quickly go ahead and divide these fractions, and we'll see where you're at. Well, it turns out that we do not divide fractions. You're like, what are you talking about? We don't divide fractions. Well, I kind of like to think of it in this way. What we do, let me scoot this over here if I can. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem. Okay, so 2 divided by 1/5 is the same as doing the following. 2/3, or 2/3 divided by 1/5 is the same as doing this multiplication problem. So when we're dealing with fractions, this division situation, we're going to turn this problem into a multiplication situation. All right, let me write that 3 a little bit better. That's bugging me. Okay, so 2/3 times, so we're going to go from division to multiplication, but in order to do that, we need to flip the fraction to the right. So whatever this fraction is to the right of the division symbol, okay, when I have 2/3 divided by whatever the case is, this would be a single fraction, not a mixed number, okay, we're all talking about a single fraction. What we're going to do is we're going to flip it. So 1/5, if we flip it upside down, this is called the reciprocal. It's going to be 5/1, okay? Let's take another fraction. What if I have 2/7? If I flip it upside down, that's 7/2. Okay, so that's what you have to do. So let's go ahead and do this now. So here, okay, I'm going from division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip this. Boom, 5/1. Okay, now let's stand back here and look at the situation. So I have 2/3 divided by 1/5. That is the same as 2/3 times 5/1. And this is the problem that we're actually going to use. We're actually going to do our calculations with. These two are equivalent. Okay, so we're dividing these fractions. We're going to get the answer for the actual division of it, but we're just using multiplication to get there. Okay, so now the reason why we do that is because multiplying fractions is so easy. Okay, so how do we multiply fractions? All you do is multiply the respective numerators and denominators. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 3 times 1 is 3, and we're done. That's 10/3. That's it. Okay, so how do you divide fractions? Well, we go from division to multiplication. Okay, and then we go ahead and finish it with our final answer. So in this particular problem, when you're dealing with mixed numbers and division, we're going to have to go from that mixed number to an improper fraction, and then we'll go ahead and follow our procedure for dividing fractions. Okay, so now let's go ahead and tackle our problem. Now, hopefully, those of you out there be like, okay, I could do this, I could do this. If you could do this, go ahead and pause the video and do this now that you're armed with this information. But let's go ahead and pause the video if you don't want to see me work through the solution right now. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. Okay, so we have 2 1/5 and 3 2/3. I have a division of mixed numbers. I want to get rid of the mixed numbers. Let's go ahead and change each of these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So this is going to be 5 times 2 is 10. So that's going to be 10 plus 1 is 11. So this is 11/5 divided by, this is going to be 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11, okay, over 3. All right, so if you were able to do this, okay, I would say very good. Let's give yourself a little happy face. You're on the right track. Okay, now we have to go ahead and finish up. So the first order of business was dealing with these mixed numbers, writing them as improper fractions. Okay, so now how do I do this? Well, again, as I just stated, we're not going to do division of fraction. We're going to convert this into multiplication. So we keep the first fraction the same. So we have 11/5. This becomes multiplication, and we find the reciprocal. We flip this guy upside down. So that's going to be 3/11. Okay. So if you got this right, well, then give yourself a little mohawk. That's very good. Okay, so now let's go ahead and finish up. We're almost there. So how do I do multiplication of fractions? Again, you go ahead and multiply across. But some of you out there might be like, you know what I can do? I can cross cancel these 11s, and you would be absolutely right. Okay, so our final answer is going to be 3/5. Now, if some of you out there went 3 times 11, okay, is 33. 5 times 11 is 55. That's excellent. Okay, that's good. So give yourself 1 star, but you're not done here. Okay, anytime we have final answers in fractions, you need to reduce them. Okay, you need to reduce things down to their final version, and in this case, that's 3/5. But this right here, you could do some cross canceling. I talk about all that, about how to reduce fractions, etc., in other videos. That's why you really need to, follow me on YouTube and watch all. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos. So if you're really looking to improve with your fractions, and this is a sore spot for a lot of students, then check out my videos. If you like my teaching style, you'll learn a lot. Okay, but if you got this final answer, I would say definitely give yourself a few more stars, an A+, and if it makes you feel better, give yourself 100%. You're definitely on the right tracks. Now, this is a pretty easy problem, okay? So you want to practice this, obviously. And if you're new to this stuff, you want to put this stuff in your notes, okay? You want to, write it down or make note of this because you'll forget it, okay? And if, don't confuse watching me do problems, and saying, okay, watching and saying, I understand that as you possessing that math skill now. That's not the way it works. You have to do the problems, and you're going to have to do a lot of problems to kind of really build up and strengthen that math skill set. But you know what? I know you can do it. I just know you can. All right. Nobody out there should be failing math. That's the way I feel about it. And I've been teaching a long time. So whatever your situation is, even if it's like the worst of the worst situation, I could tell you right now, you can dramatically improve, right? Dramatically improve. Nobody needs to be failing math. Okay, so if this video in some way helped you out, if you enjoyed it, please consider smashing that like button. That helps me out. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. Again, I have a lot of videos, basic to advanced math, all organized in various playlists in my on my channel. But my best math help will be in my math help program. You know where the how to get there. Just follow the links in the description of this video. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.